Discover the remarkable life of Theodore Roosevelt, America's youngest president, a trust buster, conservationist, and the dynamic leader who transformed the presidency into a bully pulpit for progressive reform. This program is brought to you by the Series of Thoughts team as part of the American History series. Born to privilege in New York City in 1858, Roosevelt came from an aristocratic merchant family. Despite being tutored at home due to poor health, he attended Harvard and Columbia Law School, focusing on natural history and politics. Roosevelt's early career saw him rise from the youngest member of the New York State Assembly at age 23, where he fought corruption, to police commissioner of NYC, and finally, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, preparing the fleet for the war with Spain. His time in Albany and New York City established his reputation as a tenacious reformer who championed efficiency and fought corruption, earning him both strong admirers and powerful political enemies. Roosevelt's famous maxim, "Speak softly and carry a big stick, you will go far," defined his foreign policy and personal philosophy of diplomacy backed by strength. In 1884, Roosevelt faced a double tragedy. His mother and wife died on the same day. He fled New York for the Dakota Territory, spending 2 years on his ranches, where the harsh frontier life transformed him into a robust outdoorsman. Doctors told young Theodore he must live a sedentary life, but he conquered his weakness by embracing boxing, hunting, and horseback riding. The Dakota years further solidified his image as a symbol of American vigor and frontier spirit. Roosevelt's charge up San Juan Hill in 1898 made him a national hero. This fame propelled him to the governorship of New York, then the vice presidency, and finally, the presidency after McKinley's assassination in 1901. Resigning as Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Roosevelt organized the first U.S. volunteer cavalry, the Rough Riders. His leadership during the charge up San Juan Hill in Cuba launched his political career, making him governor of New York in 1898. Political bosses tried to sideline the reformist Roosevelt by making him vice president in 1900. However, President McKinley's assassination just 6 months later made the 42-year-old Roosevelt the youngest president in American history. He quickly established his own progressive agenda. Roosevelt's domestic program, the Square Deal, championed labor rights by siding with workers during the 1902 coal strike. As the trust buster, he broke up monopolies, and he instituted consumer protection with the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act. Roosevelt's conservation philosophy established the principle that natural resources must be preserved for future generations, declaring, "Leaving this land even a better land for our descendants than it is for us is our great central task." Theodore Roosevelt became America's first conservation president, protecting 230 million acres of public land. He created 5 national parks, 18 national monuments, 51 bird reserves, and 150 national forests, his greatest domestic legacy. From 1901 to 1909, Roosevelt established 150 national forests, created 5 national parks, and 18 national monuments, including the Grand Canyon. He also established 51 federal bird sanctuaries and 4 national game preserves for wildlife protection. Roosevelt's aggressive protection of natural lands was inspired by a 1903 camping trip in Yosemite with naturalist John Muir. Muir convinced Roosevelt of the urgency of preservation, setting a precedent for presidential conservation. Roosevelt saw the Panama Canal as a strategic achievement. He backed Panamanian independence to secure the rights, then oversaw the 50-mile canal's construction, which connected the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, projecting American power globally. Roosevelt believed presidents must earn public support through active leadership. He stated that the president must be supported or opposed exactly to the degree warranted by his good or bad conduct. Roosevelt became the first American to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 1906 for mediating the end of the Russo-Japanese War. His aggressive diplomacy greatly elevated America's status as a world power. To project American power between 1905 and 1909, Roosevelt mediated the Russo-Japanese War and sent the, quote, Great White Fleet on a world tour. Furthermore, the Roosevelt Corollary asserted the U.S. right to intervene in Latin America. In December 1907, the Great White Fleet, consisting of 16 battleships, departed on a 14-month world tour. Traveling 43,000 miles, the fleet demonstrated American naval strength across 6 continents before its triumphant return in February 1909. In 1908, Roosevelt honored his pledge not to seek a third term, instead backing William Howard Taft, who won easily. Roosevelt departed for an African safari, but he would soon break with Taft over policy differences. Roosevelt's philosophy, encapsulated in his advice to get action, do things, defined his life and presidency, urging vigorous action and purposeful creation. Disappointed with Taft's conservatism, Roosevelt challenged him for the Republican nomination in 1912. Denied, he formed the Progressive Bull Moose Party, splitting the Republican vote and ensuring Woodrow Wilson's victory. Roosevelt's challenge to Taft divided the Republican Party, creating lasting tensions. The Bull Moose Progressive Platform advocated for women's suffrage, worker protections, social insurance, and corporate regulation, which were ahead of its time. In a legendary display of toughness, Roosevelt was shot in the chest by a would-be assassin in 1912, but still delivered a 90-minute campaign speech. He declared, "It takes more than that to kill a bull moose." Roosevelt believed that courage is paramount, stating, "It is hard to fail, but it is worse never to have tried to succeed." This belief underpinned his life of high achievement. After his 1912 defeat, Roosevelt embarked on a near-fatal Amazon expedition in 1914 to explore the River of Doubt. Despite contracting malaria and nearly dying, he mapped the uncharted 1,000-mile river system, later renamed Rio Roosevelt. Roosevelt fiercely advocated for American entry into World War I. When the U.S. joined, all 4 of his sons served. Tragically, his youngest son, Quentin, was killed in aerial combat over France in 1918. All 4 Roosevelt sons served with distinction in World War I. While 3 were wounded but survived, the death of 20-year-old Quentin devastated Roosevelt, who, despite his stoicism, friends noted never fully recovered from the loss. Theodore Roosevelt's legacy transformed America. He protected workers, busted monopolies, and saved millions of acres of wilderness. His square deal gave ordinary Americans a fair shake. His energy and courage defined the progressive era. Roosevelt's life teaches us that courage and conviction can overcome limitations, that government can protect its citizens, and that conservation is a moral duty. As he said, believe you can, and you're halfway there. Thank you for watching this video. You can explore more about Theodore Roosevelt's remarkable life at sites like Sagamore Hill and Theodore Roosevelt National Park.